the information superhighway, an online network called Internet.
Are we starting right now?
Yeah, we could just start.
Fantastic.
I mean, we could. Do you want to just start?
We could just start. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Emailed Spoon.
The Emailed Spoon.
The Emailed Spoon is the title of this episode.
That one down.
Yeah, we were just talking previously about 3D printers. Do what?
Can we just start?
We are starting.
Oh, okay.
Have we not? Are you going to tell me that we've not yet recorded?
Let's just start for a minute here.
Okay. I'm Scott.
I'm start.
Okay.
Start button.
We've recorded these.
About that in a minute.
We've recorded these before when you've been real tired.
It's the opposite this time.
It's the opposite unless you are also real tired.
I'm not super tired.
No. I'm exhausted. I hit the microphone. I apologize for that noise.
Ready?
Here we go. That felt like way more violent than the way that I got.
That's the waveform. Wasn't
maybe
that bad?
Okay. So I gotta come back in with my own and just kind of like, just kind of moved it a bit.
Yeah.
You know.
That's fair.
All right.
I'll take that one.
We gotta even it out a little bit
the
more.
Other one any day.
Sure. So anyway, 3D printers.
Yeah. We were talking about 3D printers before we hit record.
Yes.
And Scott said the sentence.
I said, I could email you a spoon, which is not an original thought.
I don't like that.
It's not an original thought. It's actually a thought that's stuck around in my head ever since many years ago when PBS Idea Channel made a video about 3D printing. And they were like, think about it this way. If 3D printers become so common, I could email you a spoon. And I'm like, I don't know why I like that image, but I do. You hate it?
I don't want... That's like... it sounds like a fellow kids thing to me.
Yeah.
So send me a pizza roll at my web zone. No, I don't want someone to email me a goddamn spoon.
You're like, can I email you the spoon real quick?
No.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's email makes it immediately seem outdated. Like,
Yeah.
I could text you a spoon? Is that better?
No.
Do you have a thing?
Send me a spoon.
Yeah,
maybe.
Can I airdrop you a spoon? Do you have a thing? I don't know if I have this anymore, but whenever newly emerging in air quotes technologies are referenced in like songs, I really hate it.
Give me an example.
So, like, back when texting was starting to take off, if there was a song there was like some sort of Miley Cyrus song, I'm sure, that talked about like, if you text me, I'll delete it, and I was like, it's just freaking it was so cringy to me at the time because I was like, it's such a brand new like, I guess it wasn't super new at the time, but it was like texting was starting to get widespread, and I was like, I don't know, it's just strange to me.
Interesting.
Like, I prefer timeless lyrics, not timely lyrics, I guess.
I think that's the case with a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
especially nowadays with like meme culture being such a big thing.
Yeah.
Which is something I hate. Memes
are like, because memes come and go.
Yeah, that's what it's really fascinating to me because they're all like, whenever people come up to me and are like, have you heard about the new meme? I die inside. But
dude, I'm an old person compared to you, so like, yeah, that's whenever anyone's like starts referencing a meme that I've never heard of, I've never felt so old in my life.
I mean, I don't ever feel old.
Yeah,
because I don't care.
Right.
But I always I hate it because I do not care. And when people are like, oh yeah, this new meme, I'm like, are you being real?
The what?
Meme culture?
This is gonna like in a couple months or weeks, or if we exist in a couple years, this is gonna super date it. But like the one that came to my attention is the what in tarnation meme.
See, I don't know that one.
Yeah,
and I
that
don't care.
that one. It's such a dumb. I mean, they're all dumb.
Yeah.
Every meme is dumb.
99% of them are dumb.
Uh,
the only one worth its weight in gold is, yeah, boy.
See, that one I don't care for. Even in the, I don't get that one. It's never
stupid.
funny to. Yeah, I don't know. We watched a couple of them the other day, and I was like,
Well, not
Um,
the shooting stars thing.
there was that, but then there was
I don't like
also
the
there was
shooting
also like the
stars.
longest one.
I just like the longest yeah boy.
Yeah,
ever,
this
'cause
is
that kid's
fine.
just having fun.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't care about its like even if it wasn't a meme, it would still be funny to me.
Sure.
It's not a memey thing. It's just this kid having fun,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I enjoy it.
But yeah, I think the problem I had with the texting thing is because I figured it was gonna. I didn't know texting was gonna be. See, now it's so commonplace that it's like it doesn't. It just feels like
Yeah.
the same as if I said, call me or whatever. Which
Yeah.
that feels outdated. I feel. I don't know. But like, yeah. There's another song I remember listening to that was it was specifically called MySpace, and it was just about MySpace.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And it was just talking about the website MySpace, and I was like, boy, this is. I listened to it the other day, just because it was. I put my phone on shuffle, and I was just seeing what all sorts of random stuff I had on my thing,
Yeah.
and it came up, and I was like, oh, this is like. This is real old and cringy now because MySpace isn't a thing, and it hasn't been a thing for what feels like a millennia.
Yeah, I think it's a bad idea to ever try and oops. Why I put my phone on do not disturb, but my watch didn't listen.
Oh,
Give me a minute.
okay. I'll just handle this podcast myself.
No, I'm back.
Okay.
Catch me when I come back. Oh, that's a meme. Shit. I didn't
Way
meme
to
for it as
go.
a meme.
You didn't meme for it.
Okay. Anyway, don't try and capitalize on memes because they go away in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Harambe, apparently.
Yeah,
which
that one.
I fucking hate.
I never got that one. I'll be honest with you.
You don't get memes.
Yeah.
There
There are definitely memes that I get. Like, I get why they're funny. The Harambe one I've never understood.
Funny.
I disagree. There are definitely some that are funny, and I get it, but like the Harambe one has never resonated with me. Like I don't understand that one at all.
I don't understand any of them.
Yeah.
And that's not me saying that they're bad. They are bad, but it's
has there
like,
never been a like other than the yeah boy one? Has there ever been a meme that you've
I've
never?
laughed at memes.
Yeah.
But what I've come to realize is that it's bad humor. They're not as funny as like actual jokes. And I've witnessed this in practice with at least myself.
Mm-hmm.
Humor's incredibly subjective.
Sure.
But with in my specific flavor of humor, memes don't make me laugh as hard as like either planned out jokes or just jokes in general.
I will say my one exception there, because I mostly agree with you, but my one exception is Doge. Because
You mean Doge?
or Doge, however you want to say it.
God, I fucking hate Doge so much.
I have always thought broken grammar is hilarious.
Oh, no.
And even before it was a meme, I thought just the concept of broken grammar is very funny to me.
But it's not.
It is, though. It is. Consistently. Forget Doge. Forget Doge. Just the concept of broken grammar and people saying things wrong is very funny to me.
No.
Yeah, like it's I don't know. I think it's when you're expecting something to be said one way and they said, I mean, that's like the definition of comedy. That's like literally when you're expecting one thing and something else happens. I love that.
I see what you mean. I think I see where you're coming from. Just
Yeah.
stuff like when you said like grammar being said wrong, my mind immediately went to leet speak.
No, not that.
Which pisses me the fuck off.
No, that's
what
dumb.
Doge is.
No, Doge is not. I don't see it that way. I see it as someone who's really trying to speak correctly but failing, and that's what's real funny to me.
I guess. I don't know. I just kind of don't like dogs.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's why I said forget the Doge aspect of it, and just the concept of the grammar. Like, I love when people take song lyrics and like make them more like it's that classic thing where someone takes a very like hip hoppy song lyric and makes it very proper speak or something like that. Like, and just changing it up in a very funny way is, I don't know. I like that. Like the one that I think Paul F. Tompkins does this a lot with his style of comedy, where he takes a phrase that you would expect, but then he changes it to be different, but still get the same message across. Like, he'll say something like the Ghostbusters ones come to mind, where it's like, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. He was like, I am not frightened of apparitions, or something like that. It's like something like that is funny to me. I don't know why.
That's not a meme, though.
It's very similar to memes that have existed.
Yeah, sure. But would you say that you laugh more at comedians who use that type of humor? I
laugh more at anything that uses that type of humor. I think just that is funny to me.
Okay. I don't know. It's hard to quantify, but like, all I know from my personal experience is, whenever I see like there's a subreddit called YouTube Haiku. It's a great subreddit.
Okay.
Sometimes. The basis of it is it's 15 to 30 second videos that are just funny.
Yes.
And
I think I've seen this before.
Yeah, and the 90% of it are memes. It's just the same meme over and over again.
Oh, so it's Vine.
With different flavors. No, it's not Vine because they're longer than Vine.
Okay, but it's the same concept of Vine.
Yeah. But
R.I.P.
I have found myself on that subreddit. I love that subreddit, but almost all of the time, the only ones that I like actually laugh hard to aren't memes.
Right.
They're things that are actually funny.
But like, you have to understand, like, so it's the same thing with cliches, right?
Yeah.
Memes are funny, or memes are become memes because such a widespread group of people think they're funny.
I think when I think initially a meme can be funny, but once it becomes a meme, it's not as funny. It might still be funny. Like, if I see one the same time, like for the 40th time, I'll be like, haha. But
I think the humor. I think for me, the humor comes from people who continue to innovate off of a meme.
Sure.
Like anybody who takes like, the core base thing and makes it a super niche joke in terms of a meme that like I can relate to, and I'd be like, ha, I get it. Like, I can't. I wish I could remember any sort of the what in tarnation ones, but it's basically just the idea of taking something that sounds like what in tarnations, but like changing it. So it'd be like, you'd put a cowboy hat on Fire Lord. What was his name? Ozai, and it'd be like, what in Fire Nation? And like, see, it's kind of funny. I like that one. So it's, I don't know, like little things like that when it becomes like, oh, I'm in the group of people that gets that. Like, it's not just the widespread everybody gets this meme, but it's like I get that specific one, and that's what makes it funny to me.
I think I'm not saying that memes aren't funny across the board, but the idea of a meme is something that is shared so largely.
Right.
And so that inherently, I feel like, kind of makes it lose interest, especially as someone who's exposed to it a lot. Because I go to subreddits like YouTube Haiku, when I see something the same thing over and over and over again, it gets irritating to me, just because of like my personality. Because I know people who still make Harambe jokes and still get a laugh out of them, but every time I hear it, I'm like, I will kill you. It's gone. Let it die.
What is an example of a Harambe joke? Because like
exactly, they're not. They're not jokes. It's just somebody says the word Harambe and everyone's like.
I think it was Kumail Nanjiani pointed out when that whole trend was big. He was like, I think people only like it because it gives people a chance to laugh at a very African sounding name. And that's okay. And like, it gives them a chance to laugh at that, and it's socially acceptable.
It's just, that's one that I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get it.
From a funny thing. It's just,
if anything, it came from a tragic thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And people just took, like, the internet just took it and made it a joke, and now it's just a joke that, like, if you say it, people are like, "Oh, I know, I know what you're talking about."
Yeah.
Where it's like there's no inherent comedy in that.
There's gonna be a day, and maybe it's now. I don't know, but like there's gonna be a point where I'm gonna become one of those people who is very, very late to memes, and like I'll be the one that ruins it, like the way that parents ruin things. My mom, maybe like a year ago or something, like her whole office just found out about Grumpy Cat, and so she could not stop talking about it and like sharing pictures about it, and I'm like, oh, you're so late, and it's not funny anymore.
That's what like. That's fellow kids territory right there.
Yeah, it definitely is.
That my mom will do that. That Facebook is terrible for that. Because my mom will be on Facebook, and I'm like at family gatherings and stuff, and she'll show me something, and it's either A, not using a meme correctly, it's like an advice animal that just doesn't work, or B, it's just a meme from like 2 years ago. I remember a specific time. There's this. You know the one of the little girl who's like running away, and she's like, "Whoa!"
I think so.
Running out of there.
Sure.
My mom saw that like 2 years after it was a meme and showed it to me, and like was dying of laughter. And I was like, "Oh my god, I want to kill myself."
Man, my brother, him and I share the love for the Doge memes. He has I bought him an ugly Christmas sweater with the dog on it, and he still loves it and wears it every time that he can.
It's gonna die though.
It's
gonna be over.
Sure, but it's like it's a part of history. And I just look like I said, I will always think that kind of broken grammar humor is funny to me, whether it comes in the form of a dog or like a comedian doing stand up. Doesn't matter. It's funny. But I also want to say that like in as like a good go for it.
I think Doge is different than broken grammar, because Doge is very specifically picture of a Shiba Inu with 2-word phrases all over it, which isn't exactly broke. I mean, it's broken grammar, but it's to the farthest extent. Like I do things like that in casual conversation.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I put B's in front of a lot of words.
Sure, that's more just
but
it's funny to you. Yeah,
sure, it's funny to me. I know it's probably not funny, but I enjoy that. But it's not like I don't sit there and what. Okay.
Yes.
I figured it out. Here's what makes it irritating.
Okay.
When people around me use it unironically.
Yeah.
So I've been exposed to many people who will come up to me and go, "Much wow," and it makes me want to die inside.
Sure.
Like, shut the fuck. You're not a fucking dog.
I just think
can't speak.
For me, it's less the exact phrases, because again, it's not the Doge that makes it funny to me. It's the concept of the wholesale concept of someone not using language correctly, but like committing to it. It's the exact same thing.
What the meme is, though.
That is absolutely a part of it. That's a huge. That's where the comedy. That's where a lot of the comedy comes from. It's because, hey, look at these words that don't get paired together. Isn't that funny that they're paired together? That's where the comedy comes from, and that's what I think is funny. Whether it comes in dog form or one of my favorite vines on the planet is when that little girl sees a flock of pigeons and says, "Look at all these chickens," and I love that. I love that so much because they're using language wrong, and it's my favorite thing on the planet.
That's different, though. Because the Doge meme is very different from everything else you're describing.
It's the same general concept of look at these words that don't get paired together. Isn't it funny that they're paired together?
But look at these chickens is different than wow.
But I'm talking general, the meta sense of the comedy of look at how language is presented differently. Isn't that hilarious? And I think it is.
I think in the case of the Doge meme is a very poor execution of that.
In your opinion, I think
memes are a very poor execution of any form of comedy.
Sure.
That's what I'm trying to get at here.
Okay. I would say memes aren't necessarily all for comedy purposes, though. One area where memes are being used a lot is for English as a second language, because they encapsulate in one image an emotion, like that little victory kid thing that's like the triumph thing. Like that sort of thing is like you can, just by looking at it, you can easily see exactly the whole emotion of the scene, the whole everything. And that's what it's being used in a lot of classrooms for that specific reason.
Fun fact, originally that meme was used to show anger.
Oh yeah.
I hate that I know that.
But yeah, you get the idea. Like, there's a lot of those like that where you can just kind of see from a picture.
That's like cultural memes. Because meme, I agree. Meme is not a comedy thing, but we're talking about comedic memes, and I think that's kind of a paradox because, in my opinion, memes can be funny. Yeah, but they're a very poor form of comedy.
I think it depends on
like slapstick.
I think it depends on what you define as memes, because memes as just a concept, just like language is a meme because it's something that's spread really on. Popular. So if you're talking about just comedic memes are bad like comedy, then sure, that I feel like most of them writ large are just dumb, and I think they're intentionally designed to be that way in a sense, where the person who maybe originates them isn't thinking, oh, look at how genuinely hilarious this is, but rather look at how so unhilarious that it's hilarious.
Every meme is different,
right? I was saying generally, I feel like a lot of them are like that because that's the nature of the internet.
Well, I don't think anyone ever sets out to make a meme, and if they do, they're not. I don't think they think it's dumb. They probably think it is genuinely funny, which is where I draw issue with, because there are like the lol random look. When I say Doge things every day of my life, that's only how I speak. Yeah, which frustrates me.
I feel like and I'm speculating here, so correct me if I'm wrong. Is it just because you've known people that incorporate memes into their life heavily? Because I've never known anyone that has done that.
But you live on the internet.
Right, but I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone personally.
I think those people don't do it in real life.
What people?
The people on the internet.
I don't know the people on the internet.
You'll meet them.
Okay. Because like my brother and I share the love of the Doge meme, but like we don't quote it every day. We just kind of, there's like a
normal functioning person.
There's like, I mean, there'll be occasional moments where we'll be reminded of it and think, that we still think it's funny. Sure. But again, that's just, and even out of the context of Doge, if anyone says a Doge-like thing completely, disconnected from the Doge meme, I'm still going to think it's funny just because that's the concept of what I think is funny. And the Doge thing was just a meme that kind of encapsulated that comedy for me. But like I've never, there's like a brief thing going on right now where I have a group chat with my brother and sister, and we're sending each other, mostly them sending me. I haven't been actively looking for any, but like the what incarnation type memes that are just like the most completely niche ones that nobody will think is funny but me and us. But fair. I don't know, I feel like other than that, like memes don't encapsulate our life.
Sure. But yeah, I mean I meme I have known people and do know people that memes are a thing that they actively, like meme culture is a thing that they're a part of, and that's what is annoying to me. Because when somebody, and this has happened lots of times, comes up to me and is like, hey, you heard about that new meme? No, I'm not part of your shitty meme culture. I don't give a shit.
But I think that's that I actually like learning about new memes because it makes me more in tune with what's happening in the world, and I like to understand.
Why is that what matters?
Because I like to be aware of my.
But it's gonna go away
happening.
In a day, and it doesn't. It's stupid.
Sure, but sometimes it's not, right? Like the Doge thing. If I didn't
was stupid.
In your opinion.
Listen.
It encapsulated the things that I always loved about, that I always thought was funny.
Listen. This comes from a person who definitely had participated in meme culture.
Mm-hmm. You strike me as if there's some sort of hidden memory that like there's some event that happened that made you
raped by a meme.
I thought so. Dylan, we can talk about this. This is a safe space. Wow, such meme.
And meme. No, I just okay.
Yeah.
In 2012, no.
You're just being here's what's happening. You're being a hipster. You don't want to be involved with culture and society.
I just think
you think you're better than everyone.
I just think yes, but no.
Okay.
I just think that memes are, like you said earlier, they're not timeless. Like tech and songs, it's not timeless.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, and I've realized that.
So yeah, we're talking about just like specifically internet memes, not like memes as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the not the traditional sense, but the traditional sense.
Right.
Let's talk about language. No. Memes are something that I used to like super be into, and I would use as basically my only form of comedy. And I'm not saying that I'm a comedian or anything like that.
But I am the funniest person who's ever lived.
Yes, clearly. But sorry. Everybody look to your left. Look at this cat.
That is a cat.
She's in my chair. All right, anyway. Hi, Ice Machine. My memes are toast.
Yeah. You were going to say that you hate yourself because you memed a lot.
Yes, I memed a lot, and it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. It's cringy to me when people use memes as jokes in the real world, because they don't work in the real world. Mm-hmm. They're inherently an internet thing. So like you and your brother and sister sending them back and forth through text, that's fine. But like when somebody tries to translate that into real life, boy, it's a mess.
So when my brother wears his Doge sweater,
that's fine. But if he was wearing the Doge sweater and was like, much wow, and was just talking in Doge leet speak, I hate it.
See, that is like an interesting thing because, again, completely separate from the Doge thing, if I were to speak in broken grammar because I think it's funny and someone would just immediately go, oh, like the Doge thing, but that wasn't my intention, then like, is that basically how much do intentions matter, or is it just consequences of like, oh, you just so happen to repeat the exact same sort of things as a meme?
Broken grammar is a very, very fine line as to when it gets cringy and not funny anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it being cringy is funny in and of itself.
Yeah.
If you're looking at it from an outside perspective. But
sure.
So like, okay, here we go. There's saying certain words wrong, and there's baby talk.
Okay.
Baby talk is not funny.
I agree.
That's what I feel like the Doge meme is, to an extent.
Yeah.
Saying certain words with broken grammar is fine. Like I don't even think that like their Vine, look at all these chickens. That's not really broken grammar. It's just funny because it's a little girl who doesn't know what those words are.
And I mean, to me, it's kind of like the same thing where like that to me encapsulates another thing that I think is funny, where it's overconfident kids. I think that's very funny to me.
Like the another meme, the kid, which I'm kind of tired of this meme because it takes too long to get to the punchline. The kid who's like, if you could dream it.
I don't know that one, but sure.
It's this kid who's like, he's got this long speech where he's trying to say like, follow your dreams and do what you want.
Yeah.
But he just stumbles over his words, and at the end he's real proud of himself.
Sure. Just to diverge into this category of overconfident kids, two things that I will always like, two videos that I will always think are funny is that kid at the amusement park who's like it's a little, I don't know if you've seen that one. It's many years old, but it's like, or maybe it's just 1 or 2 years old. I don't know. It's like he's being interviewed on a news station at an amusement park, and he's just like this little redhead boy who's like, I went on a roller coaster and it scared me half to death. It's just this tiny little kid. It's amazing.
I think I've seen that one.
And then there's another one This one was a very kind of brief internet meme, like the Linda, honey, that thing. You know what I mean? It's like this little kid, I guess, talking to his babysitter or something, like as if he's in charge, and he's like, no, Linda, honey, it's okay, or something. I don't know. It's such a niche thing, but I just love kids who think they're adults. That's a funny thing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Broken grammar. Any comedian. You know, whether it's like a Paul F. Tompkins or a Bo Burnham, if anyone wanted to use broken grammar, it's very funny to me, and that's what made me attach to the Doge thing, because it just was like, yeah, finally people are like, I can share my love for that style of humor, and everyone will kind of get where I'm coming from a little bit.
I just think that's that's a incredible extreme of that type of humor, and I think that's what a lot of memes are, just super extremes of a certain type of humor, and at that point it loses its nuance and isn't funny to me personally. Yeah,
but the nuance thing is like, I don't know if it needs nuance. Like, there's certain types of comedy that I don't think need nuance, and I think broken grammar
slapstick
is one.
The opposite of nuance.
Right. But I also think, you know, I don't know if there's much nuance in just like, that sort of thing. But I get what you mean. Like, memes kind of exaggerate and they kind of intensify a certain type of humor, and it just makes it, I don't know, it almost makes it, that's why I like the very niche versions, the very niche things, because it's like, it's not a very widespread thing that, like, you know, my mom's gonna see Grumpy Cat and be like, ha, it's like an upset feline, I get it, and, you know, with no other context, and be like, that's funny. But like, it's when you have the ones where you have to really think about it a little bit more, it can still be in a meme form. I don't know, I don't have a problem with memes.
I will say that advice animals are the death of culture.
Advice animals I never really cared for.
They're not funny. They're stupid.
Like, those ones are weird to me, because there's number one, there's so many of them.
There's like, okay. So for those that don't know, there are when I say advice animals, I mean two different things. There's, most of the time, advice animals are a picture of something with text in white impact, with a black stroke.
With like a nice little pinwheel sunburst background of some kind.
Sure, but that's like classic advice animal. Advice animal it means like anything with just that text over it. But there's also the advice animals subreddit, which is human filth. It's a default subreddit, I believe, still. And it's just like the top posts are always just so not funny and annoying. And you go to the comments and everyone's like, yeah, jokes.
I get it. There's like a raccoon that does puns.
Oh, God. That's like old school advice animals.
Yeah.
You see that shit today. They got like animated advice animals.
Oh boy,
it's dumb.
I don't know if we've ever talked about this yet. Has there been a meme that you've actually genuinely enjoyed, not ironically?
Yeah, boy.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, I mean, boy.
Okay.
But that one I don't enjoy because it's a meme. Like, I don't see it places.
Right.
Is the thing, because it's not one that you can put into a lot of things to ruin.
Yeah.
It's just that, sure. But I'm sure it has been, but I haven't been exposed to it. It's just, like that.
When was, like, the origin of that?
I don't know. This kid just posted a video. That, like, those are the most pure
Right,
ones.
but, like, do you know how long ago that was?
Couple months, maybe.
Okay, because I was trying to figure out if Vine had a chance to ruin it.
Oh,
they
did.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they did.
I figured as much.
But I didn't see a lot of those, and I just like, I don't like them. It is a meme, but it's not a meme in the sense that it was one of the memes that could be used and killed to death. Like, all right, here's a good example. Do you know the BuzzFeed Gamer Girl one?
I don't think so.
No? Okay, so BuzzFeed did this video where they showed, or they made a bunch of girls, straight W's, heavy air quotes, play Grand Theft Auto 5.
Okay.
And there's this one girl who freaks out. She like throws the controller down on the table and goes, "This is why I hate video games, because all they do is appeal to the male fantasy."
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like she's playing Grand Theft Auto and it's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
But the meme of that was that they would use that like 20-second clip and then put in like something stupid of a video game, like for example, she says her bit is just appeals to male fantasy, blah blah blah, and then have like Mario riding Yoshi doing something, and it was funny for like the first 5 times they did that.
Right.
But for like 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
5 of those were the top of our YouTube haiku forever, and it just wasn't funny. But that's the example of like a type of meme that is it's like a transformable one.
Yeah.
That just people just make things out of. And
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing in the world to some people, but it's just beating a dead horse.
I do like. I mean, yeah, that kind of goes back to what I've been saying a bunch. Is I like the ones that people can transform and turn into their own kind of separate thing that's just for their very niche audience and not supposed to be a widespread thing. I think that's fun. It's funny in the sense that like.
Well, there's a difference between transformable and transforming into something niche.
I mean, you're still taking the same. What I'm talking about is you're still doing the same meme.
Yeah.
But it's just you're applying it to something that's not going to be able to appeal to everybody. It's the exact same like it's funny in the same way that like a lot of comedy today is just references.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing where it's like, hey, you remember this thing? Like, is that? I mean, I can acknowledge how dumb that is, but at the same time, you know, if someone does a "What in Fire Nation," I'm like, okay, I get it.
I don't know. I think memes can be funny, and I have laughed at them, and I do enjoy some of them, but 9 times out of 10 are original jokes. And I know this does sound real pretentious and like hipstery, but original jokes, I know that I laugh more.
But what is original? Is anything ever original? Is comedy just one big meme?
Oh God, comedy. We just got memed on by comedy.
We sure did.
No, but okay. I'm trying to think of some other memes that I have genuinely enjoyed. I don't know. Yeah, I just like the ones that aren't overused. They're the ones that just happen and like they're this one self-contained thing, and that does like really, if you get down to it, are they even memes at that point?
Yeah,
because memes to me are something that's like overshared and over transformed. And like the one from 22 Jump Street, the "My name's Jeff." That's the
God, I hate that one so much.
It's not funny. Like, it literally.
That's another one where if I were to read in between the lines, it just feels like it's an excuse for people to laugh at at something that's slightly racist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just that's all it is, and that's why it became a widespread meme, because people are like, "Am I allowed to laugh at that accent?" Fantastic.
Well, do you know? Have you seen 22 Jump Street?
Yeah.
Well, that's not really in that context. That's not what that is.
Well, he's pretending to do an accent, and it's really bad. And so I think it's like the people going, that accent is funny, isn't it?
So I feel like in the context of the like the meme itself, like the transformative version of it is just that it's like your grammar thing. It's something, well, just humor in general. It's you're just not expecting it.
Yeah.
But it's not funny. It's the same like the John Cena thing as well that happened a while ago.
There were
a
couple of those that I only thought were funny because I was not expecting it whatsoever.
Sure. But it gets old after a while.
Sure. I mean, if you're watching a montage of them, then it's going to get old after the first 2. But like if I'm just like scrolling through a thing and I'm not expecting it in any capacity, and then all of a sudden John Cena pops up, I'm just like, ha, love it. Then move on.
I thought of another one that I thought was really funny at the time. When dabbing was like a big thing.
God, yeah.
It still kind of is.
Sure.
But
I'm dabbing currently.
Oh God. You ever see the Vine about Squidward dabbing?
No.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's just this, and this I could analyze why I think this is funny, but you know how people like they go far away from a mic and they're like, hey.
Yeah.
So they're at this parade where there's a Squidward, like there's a person in a Squidward costume for some reason. and he just has like dead eyes. And this guy behind the camera is filming, and he goes, "Hey, Squidward, dab on him!" And then it's just like 2 seconds of silence, and then Squidward just goes, and then it just cuts, and it's real. I dabbed for those who couldn't see.
Yeah.
But it's really funny.
Yeah.
And, but then people used that and like killed it because they just that was one of the ones that I thought the original thing was funny, but then them overusing it and like transforming it and stuff was just irritating.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't like memes.
Yeah, I like the idea that they can unite a big group of people. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea that they can unite a bunch of people from around the world as onto one thing. I just wish it was like a more thought-provoking thing.
Yeah.
Like, and not just like whoa, wacky. But I think, I mean, that's where things start. Maybe that's why we need to, it's like an opening act. We gotta have something that's worse before we get something that's a little better.
Is it ever gonna end? Every day people come up to me and say, "Look at this new meme," and I'm like, "How about you look at my
What are those?"
Oh, that was one that was funny for like a day.
I could not understand that one, but it is permanently stuck in my head whenever anyone says like, "Oh, what are those?" I'm just like, "What are those?" And I hate
Daniel.
it.
That was a weird time.
Damn Daniel, I've never understood. It's
not funny.
It's just like a funny voice.
Yeah, it's just this guy who there's a series of vines. There's this guy at
No, it's Snapchats.
Oh, is it Snapchat?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, I just saw it on Vine.
Yeah, they probably made a Vine compilation of it.
But yeah, it's this guy who just goes up to his friend at school.
He's like, "Hey,
Says,
looking good, man."
Daniel.
Yeah.
Back at it again with those white bands.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
He does
I
all
would
the
say
time.
that like
It's not
I mean I feel like I
Maybe
have a
once.
double standard of going like, what, it's just a funny voice, but then cut to me like earlier going, it's just them saying words wrong and it's funny to me.
Humor's incredibly subjective.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is memes are the death of culture. They're not culture.
No.
I don't know. I think that I think the main reason I'm frustrated with meme culture as being a thing is because they don't have lasting power. Like, they're not going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And memes will always be a thing, but specific ones won't be a thing. Like, I was thinking about this earlier, that people are going to, now that we are documenting everything, people like 1,000 years from now aren't going to look back in their history books and be like, oh, damn, Daniel. I remember those times.
I think, obviously I think that's just a bigger question with how history is taught in general, because there's a fantastic channel. This is a complete 180 off of memes. I don't know if we're like running out of time.
We're at 41 minutes.
Okay, there's a channel I love called Townsend and Son, and it's all about 18th century living. And mostly they do a lot of cooking, but they did a video recently where he just was kind of talking about like, hey, YouTube with their new algorithm wants us to continue to make more and more videos and to get you guys to watch for longer. But that is the opposite of what we want. We want you guys to go out and experience and live history. And he was talking about how like, history in school is usually one of the most boring subjects because you just gloss over these like large things, and history is the most fascinating when you dive into individual people, individual events, and really learn as much information about that as possible.
Make a nice little musical about something.
Make a nice little musical about one historical figure and his journey upwards and downwards. Yeah, that sort of stuff, and it gets people to. That is an example of tangential learning of introducing a concept to somebody and then having them learn on their own. But
smells like nerd sync in here.
What? But no, I think the idea of actually experiencing learning history as individual things is much more beneficial. And so I think that no one's going to look back and be like, no history book is ever going to have anything about memes the way that no history book is going to have anything about, like, if anything, they might briefly like have a paragraph about like, and then Facebook was invented, because that's like the most kind of thing, or like Google or something, you know, like just
I think
the
there will probably be a new class, maybe an elective or something that's like
internet history. Yeah,
something like that, as opposed to like world history
or art history. Yeah, it was internet history. I think. I mean, I'm sure there's some like college out there that's probably already teaching that.
That'll have things like the launch of Facebook, Google's rise, and stuff like that. But it won't have things like Doge and Shrek is love. Shrek is life.
That's true.
Like that.
I think if anything, there'll be like a one or two class thing about just like memes and like the rise of memes, and then it's gonna reach a real critical mass when they'll be like, because I feel like memes, internet memes specifically, started out, you know, small, and then they just kind of, you know, there's always new ones constantly. Every week is a new meme, and so obviously you can't teach about every single one, but I feel like they'll at least talk about, you know, some of the originals, and you know, like the rage whatevers, or
oh god, they're
you
so
know
bad. Fucking rage faces. They're not funny. None of it's funny. Just stop. It's time to stop. Just stop, guys.
It's that sort of. I'm sure they'll talk about, if there was a class like that, there'll probably be like a one or two class session where they'll just talk about the rise of memes, but obviously they can't touch on all of them. But yeah, I think in broad history classes, like, I don't know about you, you're younger than I am, so like, do you remember where your history classes kind of stopped off at?
Well, I didn't finish high school,
right? But do you remember what was the last thing that you remember from history class?
U.S. history.
Yeah, where did that end at?
I don't remember. I dropped out.
Okay. No, for me, my textbooks, U.S. history ended at around, usually around George W. Bush. So they were fairly up to date. But it was just kind of like they briefly touched on him and his presidency, like a little bit.
Yeah. A wee bit.
Yeah, and then they just kind of like, it was a weird time, because I know we don't talk about comic books on the show, but there's a comic book documentary, not the PBS one.
No, not that one.
The one that's hosted by like Keith David or something like that.
No, not that one.
It's that one.
Keith Apicary?
It's like Superheroes Unmasked or something like that.
What the fuck? Sorry. My cat just grabbed my mouse. Like,
well, I mean,
give me that one. Okay, sorry. Back to your point.
There's that documentary, Superheroes Unmasked. It follows the same suit as my.
Wait, I may have seen that one.
Yeah, it follows the same kind of thing that my textbooks did in history class when I was in high school, where they ended at such a down point in American history. They ended at exactly like 9/11, and then there's like, it's like if a movie ends on a really sour note and there's no resolution. It's both of like my textbooks ended that way, and then that documentary also ended that way, which was such a weird way to like, superheroes, how grand are they? And then 9/11.
You ever
which is how I want to end this podcast. No, okay.
We are gonna end about some 9/11 talk.
Oh no.
But have you ever like been watching a show or something, or a movie, and it's like
several times, yeah.
Sure. And you're just kind of watching it, and then like the punchline of, not like the joke or just like the punchline of the episode or the movie or something is 9/11.
A Hawaii 5-0?
And yeah, that's what I wanted to.
I figured
that like not that specifically, but like it's happened multiple times in different things. And
like, what are some other things that it's happened?
I can't think of any specifically right now. But
Horizon Zero Dawn.
No, that'd be wild. But no, so specifically, have you ever, though?
I can't think of any, no.
Okay, so I do want to talk about the specific episode of Hawaii 5-0, where just basically there's a character in it who is from New Jersey, and there's a flashback episode where we're shown this. It's an explanation for his old partner, basically, and what went down with them.
Mm-hmm.
And Hawaii Five was a kind of cop show. It's pretty good. It's not really, but it's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a flashback episode, and he's in New Jersey, York-ish territory, and there's this... Basically, all you know about it is it's back in the past, and we're back in New Jersey, and there's this drug bust that they're hitting up, and him and his partner go into it, and kind of undercover, and the guys figure out that they're cops, and they strap them to chairs and start torturing them and stuff, and they eventually... There's a point where Danny, the character, gets the upper hand and kind of hits the bad dudes, the drug lords and stuff, and kind of ties them all up. But his partner at this point has been shot, and she's kind of bleeding out and dying. And Danny hears sirens going on outside, and he's like, "Oh, thank God! They heard the gunshots. Police are here. Ambulance is here to help my partner survive."
Right.
Motherfucker walks outside,
yeah,
and you see the Twin Towers up in flames.
No,
and the whole and then it cuts back, and he's like, "That day was September 11th." And you're like, "What the fuck? Holy shit!" The whole scene, you're like, "Jesus Christ!" And that's
oh my
it's
God,
a really bizarre reveal, but it hits really hard.
Yeah, that's God. I feel like if that happened more often, it would become a meme. You know?
Yeah, and it almost kind of is to an extent where but if used right, it can be a good impact, and I think it was treated well there because it was it was a very emotional moment for the character to talk about that, and it just felt it was bizarre because 9/11 is a tragedy and something that happened very real in our real world. So when people use that as a device in fiction that's trying to mimic reality,
right,
it's bizarre.
Yeah,
and that's something.
Man, what is also weird to me about that is I have family members who are too young to remember. I don't know about you. Were you?
I remember vaguely.
Okay.
I remember I was in. I think I was in the daycare of my some gym.
Okay.
I was just sitting, and someone came to pick me up. I
have zero recollection of the day itself. I have some memories of the following few days.
Okay.
But that's something that I like to point out a lot is I think it's a lot of people will claim that they remember where they were or whatever, but they don't because that's just how memory is. I love talking about memory, but that's one of the big studies that talked about that learned about memory is because they took that exact I think it was on September 12th. They were like, well, let's do a study to see how well people actually remember what happened. Yeah. And they had them talk about what happened and where they were, and then they just did that for a couple months, and then found out that, hey, guess what? Memories are terribly not reliable.
Yeah, I think I'm almost certain that because I don't exactly remember because I was 3.
Sure.
4, maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to have functioning memories.
I don't have a super memory of it. I'm pretty sure I'm combining a couple memories into one. Because I remember being at that daycare and having my babysitter come pick me up. I also remember being in a classroom and having someone pick me up, but I'm pretty sure that was a dream. So I don't know, but
yeah,
that's I could ask my parents probably, and they would remember.
Yeah, I mean, it was for me. It's like I do remember that it was not something that I was able to grasp. I couldn't understand it because I was in the 4th grade when when it happened, and I was like, I could not I remember reading about because we in class a lot of our assignments were like, hey, read this. We would always have some sort of a new kids magazine or not even a kids magazine, just news magazine that was aimed towards younger kids or whatever. And a lot of times it would be here's the details for the new Harry Potter movie or whatever. And then the following days it was here's the tragic events of what happened. And I was like, it was just it's not that I couldn't I don't know. I guess it was that I couldn't understand what happened. It was such a bizarre thing.
Yeah, it's not something that you fully grasp, because it was a terrible thing that that kids especially aren't like exposed to.
Yeah.
Even if it's like if they're in like a self-contained thing where they kind of have a shitty life or anything like that, it's not like something that you like. I didn't fully grasp what happened that day until maybe I was like 12, 13, 14, something like that.
Right.
And I just like heard, was either reading or watched a documentary or something of like firsthand accounts of people that were there and people that like took footage of it themselves. Happening from all different kinds of angles.
That was before smartphones too.
Not if you were in the government. Wizard phones.
What? Can I want to end on one thing that's maybe a little bit funny. But it's
wow.
Yeah, thank you. And with that, no, wait. So I'm gonna pick on my buddy Chris for a little bit because
which one? So many Chris's.
Yeah, I have too many Chris's. Anderson, who's on the Nerd Sync podcast.
That one.
He won't listen to this, but even if he does, Chris, I'm gonna pick on you for a little bit. Because him and I would argue all the time about the validity of memories. Because I'm under the impression that memories cannot be trusted, just from all the science that we've learned about memories. And I was talking to him about memories, and again, that big experiment happened around 9/11, so they could see vivid memories to see how people would actually remember it. And I'm getting the numbers. I might get the numbers a little bit wrong, so obviously don't take everything I say for right here as a fact. Look it up yourself. But like, I'm pretty sure it was something like 50% of the memories after like a year or like 10 months or something like that. 50% of the memories had either changed or been deleted. So like the memory that they had when it happened the day after versus 10 months later was almost completely different. Yeah. And so, how do you think they measured the differences of memories? Dylan?
By recording the what they said before.
See, that's a good they said, hey, tell us about this day, and then they would bring them back every like month or so and tell them to do it again. Yeah. So Chris, I guess, and again I'm picking on him not to like say, look at how dumb this guy Chris is.
Wait, do you think they put them in like some kind of machine?
He was saying it's impossible to measure somebody's memories without some sort of magical memory viewing machine. That's
the point.
That is
how my memories are not infallible.
That is a tweet that he tweeted at me, and I'm pretty sure he never deleted it. Whoops. So because we're arguing about memories, and he was like, and he's heard me talk about that study a lot, and he's just, I guess, got really fed up with it. And he was like, it would be impossible for scientists to know memories unless they had a magic memory viewing machine, which doesn't exist. And I was like, or you could just ask people.
That also does exist now, kind of.
Yeah, does it? Yeah. The Animus?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's science stuff.
Sure. Always is.
People are trying to, like, I don't know if they're trying to... It's more of a dream thing, but also kind of memories. Just like trying to physically show what people are thinking.
There's visualizing thoughts, which is one where it's very low resolution currently, but the proof of concept is there, and it's really cool. Yeah. But yeah, I mean the idea that he was like, you can't know how accurate people's memories are, so trust them 100%. Was like, you could just ask them what their memories are and then compare notes a couple months later to see if they've changed at all. Because if you're right and memories are 100% infallible, then there wouldn't be any differences. But the fact that 50% changed or were deleted, or like 50% of the details changed or were completely deleted, that is just, I mean, you can't ignore that.
Like for example, here's a good what's evidence that's not factual?
I know what you're talking about.
Evidence.
Yeah, anecdotal evidence.
Here's some nice anecdotal evidence for that. I have, whenever I watch Chowmaster videos or just recordings of events in my life, even like birthday parties and stuff, I don't remember them at all.
Sure.
But I know that it happened, and I remember that it happened because it's there. But like I don't I don't really remember any specific time. I can remember that I did sit in my room, and I remember the layout of my room and everything. But I don't remember, like, specific time. Like, I can't go back to those places of time and see through my eyes.
No. I mean, and that's kind of, I mean, the internet, because you're younger, we've discussed this, you're a child.
Yes,
and
I'm 14.
I mean, the internet is changing the way that we even store memories. So, like, when you were even making those videos, you could have just been telling your brain, hey, don't bother storing any of this. I have video of it.
Yeah.
Not important to
That's
store in
true
my
as
mind.
well.
The only information I need to store in my mind is how to access these video files, and that's it. That is called transactive memory. And yeah, it's something that Google is changing how we even store our memories, because we don't have to remember anything. We just have to remember how to Google them. So.
Which is why lots of the way we teach and judge classes are stupid.
It's very dumb,
Everything
right?
is memorizing
You don't.
stuff.
It doesn't matter if you
You're not
know.
learning
It doesn't matter if you know who like the 23rd president of the United States is, because you could just look it up.
There's no point.
Yeah, you should instead be teaching, skills or just
How to do your dang taxes.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be helpful. Like real life skills like that.
Yeah.
Yes, but even
That's what I'm
again,
upset about.
but even again, like that's a thing that I don't have to do because I just have an accountant.
Sure. But even like telling someone that taxes exist.
Yeah.
And how to get to an accountant.
Yeah.
You don't have to learn that. But
Sure.
I wasn't taught
I would say
shit in high school.
I would say teaching should be more about how to teaching students how to learn, not necessarily telling them you need to know these facts, but teaching them. Hey, you're gonna have a job, you're gonna have a career someday that's probably gonna require you to learn something. So let me teach you the skills necessary to learn quickly and well in any subject. And we'll use these as examples. We'll use like history as an example of how to learn, but your specific field might not need history. That's fine. We're gonna teach you how to learn new skills and new information through the lens of history, and then you can apply that to whatever job that you want to
Think
have.
about this one.
Yeah.
Every class should be an elective.
Yeah?
Every single class.
Oh, man.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. I do think there's benefit in at least earlier on kind of forcing students to do a little bit of everything, because if you don't experience something, you'll never know if it's for you or not. Sure. So like there might be, this is something I think about all the time. Like even athletes, there are incredible athletes that like there might be somebody out there right now who could potentially be the best baseball player ever, but just was never interested in baseball. Yeah. So, I mean, that sort of stuff is really interesting. Or like even not even sports, but like there could be someone whose mind is just naturally geared towards mathematics, and they just, their parents are like, you have to do dance, and they're like, all right, let's do dance.
I think everything should be a requirement until the kid speaks up and is like,
this is what I want to do. I know what I'm interested in
now. I know what I think I know what I want to do, so let me pursue these certain things and not focus so much on, like, if he wants to be an artist, drop history, math, and science a little bit. Maybe still keep them in there, but have them be not the focus. Have art and learning, like Photoshop and stuff nowadays, be the focus, whereas and make economy and not politics, but economics. Yeah, make that a thing.
It is.
You must learn. I know it's a thing, but it's an elective.
Maybe for you. It wasn't for me. It was an absolute have to take for me.
Okay.
Government and economics were two classes that that you couldn't graduate without in my high school.
That's good.
Yeah.
But like I know a lot of. I think also art is an issue today because art's being cut because people don't see it as necessary, even though
that frustrates me a lot.
I feel like it's more necessary than history. Because how are you going to express yourself if you don't know how?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to make a stand and say one thing is more important than the other, but I think
history's bullshit.
I disagree. I love history.
Yeah, as an elective, I don't give two hecks because it was forced on me.
Yeah.
If listen, I like Hamilton as much as the next guy.
Sure.
But some jerk off shoved. I just don't like how history's taught.
Sure, and I think that is also dependent on what kind of teacher you get as well. Because like
All
I
the
had
teachers were assholes.
one teacher, Miss Garrison, not a South Park reference. She was for world history, government, and economics.
Mm-hmm.
She taught all those classes, and like she was one of the best teachers I ever had because she would come in, like she would tell history like it is just stories, and she would story tell, and it was really great. And then and there are some days when I appreciated this, and I don't know if she knew how much like I appreciated these days where she would just come in and just talk about her life. And like not anything, and I know like that maybe sounds sketchy. Like, wait, she's like using your time to just talk about her problems. But it was such a fun thing for her to like come in and be like, yeah, she would. The one I remember was she would come in and be like, when your parents ask you to do something, do they ever tell you why? Like when I was growing up, my parents would say, hey, go do this. And I'd say, why? And they'd say, 'cause I told you to. And I always hated that. So when I had a daughter, if she ever asked why, I would always tell her why. And then the whole class was just a whole conversation about like parenting and all that stuff, and it had nothing to do with world history, but it was one of those breaks where we just kind of needed it, and she needed it, and it was just, I don't know, it just held the whole class kind of be a little bit more of a unit.
The issue with history being taught to me was, for some reason, almost all the time, I had one history teacher that was in it for history and liked history, and she was the one history teacher I liked. Somehow I failed history that year, and I got real mad at myself for it, but I think it was because I felt like I let her down. But every other history teacher I've had just didn't care. Like they were just teaching history, especially my high school history teacher who was like just a straight up dick. He was like the basketball coach or something, and he was one of those teachers who was like, I want to just do basketball, but I have to teach a subject because that's what the school requires of me.
Right.
So
had a lot of those.
He took history and was just like, all right, here's a slideshow. The Huns.
Yeah.
The Hutts.
Ah, God.
The Jabbas.
Here's
a quiz. True, false. PPP.
I had a lot of those. I did have some that actually genuinely cared about the subject they were teaching and taught it in a way that made a lot of sense. There was one I had. This was an elective. It was a law education class, and I don't know why I took it, but it was a ton of fun, and it was just like from a guy who knew everything about, law. And every day the class would start with people bringing in, like he would give extra credit if you brought in stories of like legal issues, and then we would just kind of discuss that sort of stuff, like real world things that are actually happening, and then we would just talk about how the law works and everything. And I remember very little of that class, like practically, but I definitely, if I paid more attention, I'm sure that would have come way more in handy. Like that's one of those classes where I could actually see it applying. Even though I feel like if I took it a couple years later, a lot of laws would change because technology is advancing so fast that the laws can't keep up and everything like that. I don't know. I feel like a class like that would be something I would love to take nowadays even.
I have a huge issue with, not to kind of veer the conversation one way, but
I don't know. Have we gone over an hour?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured.
But I don't know. I like this. We're going.
No, it's good. I like it.
It's still on the history vein, but like in a different thing. I have a huge issue with how grades are doled out.
Yeah.
In schools, because it's very. We touched on this briefly earlier. It's very just memorization, especially when it comes to like history and science, and I had theology as a part of mine a lot.
Sure.
But like math, perfect. Math is great. Like even if you don't like math, you still you're not really there is memorization into it.
Like formulas and whatnot.
Yeah, formulas and stuff. But a lot of the time, like especially in harder math classes, they give you a cheat sheet with the formulas on them. Because that's not the point. You're not memorizing formulas.
Right.
You're learning the skill of how to add and divide and do all this shit. Which, that's great. You are learning a skill that you will use at some point, even if you get to a point where it's not
even if it's not like the super high up crazy math, whatever.
Like long division, you could just do that. That's a skill that you can learn to do.
Sure.
But history, like saying true, false, and writing an essay, great.
I like that a lot.
If you're asked a question, and that should be how things are graded. Like in a history class, you do this like couple months long thing, subject on it, have participation grades throughout based on what you're doing and what you're learning, and then to see if you've actually learned anything, ask them a long form question, tell them to write an essay, and don't give them any requirements for how long the essay is.
Yeah, I remember I had a philosophy class in college, and on the final, the last question was an essay question, and it was like, I can't remember which philosopher specifically, but he was like, so imagine this philosopher had a time machine and went back and talked to these two other philosophers. Describe to me the kind of conversation they would have. And I'm like, I love that question. I wish I was paying attention in this class. I did not, at that point in time, I did not care about philosophy. I fell asleep in class a lot.
No, that's like Nega Sky.
I know. If I could go back in time, that would be the one class I would love to sit and pay attention to.
You should go to a community college and take a philosophy class.
Dude, I should.
Redeem yourself.
I should. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was a fun question, because obviously everyone's answer in some capacity started with people freaking out over the concept of time travel.
Yeah.
You know, like it was just a fun little thing that
makes sense.
that people did. But the teacher was, obviously he had a sense of humor, or else he wouldn't have asked that kind of weird specific. Sure. He would have just been like, imagine these philosophers could talk to each other. But he was like, no, imagine this one had a time machine and went back and this. Yeah.
That's fun. That's another thing, is I think teachers should be more vetted before they're actually put into a position, because you're not going to like a kid's education, no matter how much you pay for it, if you have a bad teacher who's not interested, and it's not their fault. If they're not interested, just don't teach. But like if you're put at a post,
I mean, it's tough. We have a lot of students and not a lot of teachers that want to step up.
Sure, but like also just make it fun. Yeah, make it fun.
Yeah, I do like the schools that are trying new things and not sticking with like whatever they think works.
If I was a teacher, and I still kind of want to teach at some point in my life. Yeah. And I get a kick out of any time I get to teach someone editing or any like skill that I learned, because I've always been fascinated with the idea of teaching, and I think me having shitty teachers all my life has been like something like, I'm gonna do it my way.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, I was in graphics class growing up, and my friends and I always had this idea. Like, one of my friends was into history. One of my friends was into JROTC, and it's like a military thing. Oh, right. And I was into graphics, and then we had this idea, this notion that at some point in our lives we would all end up teaching at the same school that we grew up in on those different subjects. Yeah. And I would still love to be a Photoshop graphics kind of teacher, or even just like an After Effects.
Yeah, thing. I would love to do that,
because my teacher was terrible. He was. I mean, I loved his class because he didn't enforce us to do anything. There were not even assignments to do. We could just goof off on the computer. But he was one of those teachers who did not even know the program. Like he had the kind of knowledge where he believed he knew how to use Photoshop, like just well enough to kind of get by. Yeah. But like all the students knew how to do it way better. Yeah. And that sort of thing. It had the same thing in college with my video production class, where like the teacher was using very old school techniques for very new school equipment.
This is the same thing. My principal I was the first year that he did this. He was the principal for a couple years at this point in my middle school. And when I was in 8th grade, he started a film production class for 7th and 8th graders. And God, I loved it so much. But because it was an outlet for me to put, at the time I wanted to be a director. So it was an outlet. Well, I think I still wanted to make games, but I was on the road to wanting to be a director. Sure. So, it was an outlet for me to finally use all this equipment that I had at home, bring it to school, and play around with it with my friends. But he gave everybody like flip cameras. And,
nice.
Windows Movie Maker on their laptops and stuff. Oh, sure. And I brought my laptop in with my like $1,000 Sony camcorder and a pirated version of Vegas.
How'd you get a $1,000 Sony camcorder? It was my
birthday one year. I don't remember.
Yo, hold on. You got a $1,000 camera for your birthday?
Yeah, it's in there.
Unbelievable. Like,
we don't talk about childhood on this.
As a side tangent, this is like you were talking about like, you got an Apple Watch for Christmas.
Yeah.
The most expensive thing I've ever gotten for Christmas has maybe been like $50.
Listen, my parents feel real guilty.
Yeah.
That goes a long way.
Fair enough.
No, but yeah, I don't actually remember how much that camera was, but I remember thinking that it was $1,000.
No.
It might not.
My
have been.
parents would never buy me anything over $100.
I'm sorry, Scott. I'll buy you something over $100.
No, it's fine. I like it. It makes me scrappy.
Yeah, so that was just a really nice thing for me, and it was an elective. There were no grades in it, really. Well, there were grades, but it was just based on, like, if you showed effort, like, if you were doing it, good job.
Mm-hmm.
We would just get into groups, and our job was just to, like, go around and ask people interview questions and interview people.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, yeah, I got, like, a lav mic.
Oh, sure.
Hooked up. Everybody, it only recorded the left channel for some reason.
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, I really wanted to take video production in high school, but that was all of the super popular kids were taking that class, and I would not fit in any capacity, which, I have a history of not liking certain groups of people because I felt like they stood in my way of a career that I wanted to do. That was... Because I didn't, like, popular kids, I didn't care that I was unpopular or whatever, because I was popular amongst my group of friends. The only thing I cared about was that I wouldn't be able to take video production class because they were always taking it, doing whatever they wanted to do, and they wouldn't have listened to whatever any ideas that I had, because I wasn't a very
that's
popular
what was
person.
good about my middle school production film thing, was a lot of people took it, a lot of variety of cliques took it, but no, like, super, like, jockey dudes, because they didn't care, but
oh my god, mine was just filled with, like, the jocks who thought they were funny.
Yeah.
They was just that. And
but we were able, because we split into groups, so like half the class was my friend group, and then there were 2 groups that were that, and then 2 other groups that were outlying cliques and stuff, so it was fine for me. But,
sure.
In high school, like, had nothing like that. I took theater production for the first semester, and that was fun, but I was the only one in the class that cared. Well, maybe there were 2 others, but basically everyone, because you just had to take, like, 1 art credit. And people just took theater production to get it out of the way.
Sure.
And they didn't care. I was like, come on, guys. Let's do the orphan train. Let's get it
together.
together.
I mean, ever since high school introduced the concept of electives to me, I was like, I heard this thing called graphics communications. I don't know what that is. What do those 2 words together mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But it has graphics in it, and I love that. So I want to go invest in that. And that was one of those things where I ended up taking it almost every single day of high school in some capacity because I just loved it so much. But prior to that, this is also another reason why I kind of have a slight disdain for gamers, because
don't we all?
Yeah, well, because in middle school when we were there's like a day where we could try out or like go to little seminars about that kind of future electives that we could take, and one of them was graphics communications, graphics class, and I was like, I want to do that, but there was a limited amount of slots, and you would sign up for like your first pick, second pick, third pick, and you wouldn't know what you would get. It was like completely kind of arbitrary the way they would assign you to it. And so I was like, well, I want to do this graphics one. It's bundled with a bunch of other stuff. And one of those other things was designing and playing video games as a career. And so, of course, everyone wanted to learn how to play video games as a job. Yeah. And so everyone was there for that one thing. I got bumped for the other as like one of the only people who wanted to go and learn about actual like graphics type stuff, and I got put in like a mechanics seminar. No. I was like, this is the opposite of what I want. So that's ever since then I any like real pro legit gamer person, I'm like, I don't like you. I don't like your kind.
You like the gamer boys and girls.
For standing in the way of my career, even though I'm fine now. But it's
make videos about comic books on the internet.
Yeah,
you're good.
I'm fine. I still get to play around in After Effects.
Yeah.
Whatever. But gamers, right? Ugh.
Disgusting.
What a meme.
Good, nice.
It was actually terrible. That was real bad. I was really trying to force it.
Emailed spoons.
Yeah.
I think this is our longest episode.
It sure is, but we covered a lot of ground.
It was mostly just memes and...
We talked a lot about memes, which for an online... I was thinking about this as we were recording. Like, I don't know if the point of this podcast is to be, like, funny or
I
what?
sometimes approach it as funny, and you like shoot me down because our senses of humor are very different.
Yes.
Like that's why I love the elephant in the room episode.
That to me was one of those like lol random type humors, and I was like, I hate this. I hate this so much.
It wasn't to me because it was a point. There was a point in my head,
right?
Because I knew what the.
But you
elephant
wouldn't
in the room.
tell me, so like that's why I kept shutting it down because I was like, oh great, Dylan has reverted to middle school. Middle school. I did. I said what, Dylan, and then you moved off of it, and I was like, Dylan has reverted to middle school. That's all this is.
Okay, that is the worst episode of the podcast. But regardless, I think it's a nice. We flip flop between like jokes and serious stuff.
I think the point of it is just to have a good conversation.
Yeah, it's a conversational podcast.
And even though I think it's because of the name, the online podcast, and because of how we market it, it seems funny. Yeah. Right, you know, like it seems like a funny concept of like the first online digital audio cast thing.
Because that's who we are as people.
Yeah. See, that's another one of those. That's another one of those things that I think is like the way we'd even describe the podcast is funny because it's words that normally don't go together. And anyway, memes.
We need to. We're approaching an hour and 20.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Follow us on the Twitters at An Online Podcast. Yeah. We're sometimes hardly active on there, but tweet at us a billion things.
Sometimes we stream. We didn't stream this one.
We didn't stream this one.
Because I'm lazy.
And I'm tired.
Yeah.
And we've been the Online Podcast.
This has been the Emailed Spoon. What about your personal Twitter?
You can follow me on any social network, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Xbox gamer tag thing.
That's dangerous.
It's always at Scott Nice Wonder. Well, you can find me. I'm not creative. I don't have like a name that I use outside of just my name, Scott. Well, I don't use that anymore.
You should.
No, somebody already took that. You can find me on. There's a failed social media app called Highlight that came out like 4 years ago. Hell yeah. It failed spectacularly because it drained people's battery life like crazy. So go find me on there.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. Yeah, you can find me on there. Mm-hmm. Follow his LinkedIn page. I do have a LinkedIn page.
Do you update it?
No.
No, of course not. Nobody does.
I think I added you on there.
Yeah?
I don't remember.
No, I don't get notifications from that anymore. I swear if I have like a billion business notifications of like very important people wondering.
Is Marvel here? We want to work with you.
No! This was 2 years ago.
I was gonna have a joke prepared for the Twitter, and it was real. It's gone. I can't draw attention to it. Adam Alexander. It's fine.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks, guys. Oh wait, I do a thing, don't I?
Yeah, you closed the book on the episode.
Check out this meme.
For any of our viewers who have access to internet, we invite your comments.